This must be a second split. That's a wide variety of people. Division 2 all the way down to Division 7. Wait, how many people were registered for that? Oh, it was only 20-ish? Okay. Maybe this is top split then. And there's one more split that's even lower. I should check. Yeah, we're on wet tires. Okay, good. Missed start. What? Oh, come on! How did I miss the step? Okay, great. Missed the start. I've never missed the start before. That's new. All I wanted to do was go back in to see if to make sure I was on wet tires. Like, it hadn't started. There was still plenty of time. It must have just been right at the moment where, like, I don't know, everybody came in and the race started over, and I backed out at the exact right moment. If you're gonna miss it, 86ers in the wet and that turn 1 ain't the worst. That's a fair point. Of all the races to miss the start, this was probably alright. Considering how turn 1 is probably going to go. And I was right in the danger zone anyway. Not ideal though. This video is supported by my wonderful channel members here on YouTube. Click the join button below the video to directly support the channel and find out all the perks you can get by doing so, including early access to videos and having your name listed at the end of each video. I wasn't the only one. I really wasn't the only one.
Right side, clear on the right.
Did something bug out? It seems like there was a lot of people, unless people just chose not to take the start. There's already been chaos. Jesus. He's going to come back on, isn't he? Oh, that was close. Maybe starting from the pit lane was a good idea. People off all over the place. Alright, settle in for a recovery drive and a learning experience, I guess. Big group ahead. There's plenty of opportunities despite the pit lane start. There goes one. I'm quicker than I was in qualifying immediately, but I am still struggling to find the grip. Oh, there goes another one. And another one. This is just survival, honestly. New best lap, maybe? That felt a bit better. There you go. 1033. Getting quicker. Bloody hell!
Clear.
Well, that wasn't scary at all.
Clear. Car right. Clear.
Nice. Top 5 is always possible. Big gaps ahead now, though. We're only halfway through. Still survival is the name of the game.
New fast flat for you.
1026. Wow, that's a lot quicker. It's definitely drying up, I think.
New fast flat for you.
Flying now. Ah, you idiot. Flying now, he says. I had a feeling that was going to happen, I'm not going to lie. As I was trying to go quicker and quicker. You can't get away from the fact that these races are all about survival. You don't spin, and you're automatically going to do better than anybody who does spin, regardless of your pace. Always need to keep that in mind. That was a silly mistake. It shouldn't have happened. Wait, was I into 4th before that? Or at least I would have been. Let's chase down that 5th again. Someone in front must have had a major issue. Because someone's dropped out. Okay, maybe not 4th place, but I'm definitely faster than 5th. There's not many laps left though, I don't think I'm going to be able to do it. 2 laps to go maybe? It's going to require a mistake from up front at this stage. Getting so much there. So much more grip than there was at the start of the race.
White flag.
Oh my god, I've caught up so much on this lap. That was a massive gain.
Just set your fast lap of the session.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. 1015. Holy moly. One of those again, please. Back marker in the way. Might have some help.
Right side. Clear on the right.
Had to go for it. And it worked an absolute treat. Top 5's always possible.
There's the flag. It's over.
I did get into the 101 on the final lap.
Nice run. Solid.
I was quicker than the leader on that last lap. I might have got best lap in this race. We'll check afterwards, but I had some good pace. That mistake ruined me for a 4th, I guess. I wouldn't have got the top 3 anyway, but still, not a bad recovery. Well, that was top split out of 2. Not many people doing this one. It's some solid championship points for my very first race so far. I didn't get best lap. There was a 101.0 out there. But still, 101.5. I think if I'd not made the mistake, I probably could have stayed in 4th, but hey ho. We go to the next one. Is this a second split? Or is this some weird top split with no really good drivers? There's no Division 1s in here. And I'm ranked 5th. I can't tell whether there's just another split above that's got a load of really good drivers, or there's another split below that's got a load of really bad drivers. Because I can't imagine either of those is realistic. That there's that many people either above or below. And there's definitely 2 splits because there was like 35 people registered, so. Well, you can only race against people who you're up against, I suppose. 2 splits, you're in top. Okay. So there is a split of drivers, like 17 drivers, all ranked worse than all of us. And we go down to what, Division 7? And there's no Division 1s, there's a Division 8. Damn. Alright. Well, I did say it last time that I was going to be doing some top split races. I just didn't think I'd be ranked 5th in the top split race I'm doing. That wasn't very good. At least I set a lap, but I've got a lot more pace than that qualifying lap. Oh my god, I'm on pole. What? Okay, I'm not. I'm not. But I was for a second. Well, that bodes well, I suppose. That's very close, though. 57-2, 57-1s, 57-3s, 57-4s. It's very close. I had a bad lap as well. Like, I know I can do 56s. 56.7 is my best. So this could be an interesting race. Okay, now we're down to 3rd. Top ranked driver comes in with a 56.8. But again, I've done a 56.7 in practice. And that was a bad lap that it felt like a bad lap anyway. There's definitely opportunities in this one. So, hello everyone, I hope you've been enjoying this iRacing video so far. I'm finally here doing a voiceover after the fact. We're already halfway through the video, but yeah, the reason mainly that I'm doing a voiceover in this one is because from this point on I didn't speak for the rest of the race, until the end at least. So yeah, I'll talk a little bit about the situation that we're in. Obviously this is a top split race, so just like the previous one was, but obviously that was in the wet. I get a really good start to keep my position, my qualifying position of 3rd, which I was actually pretty surprised by. And then I noticed that the guy was going for a bit of a move up the inside, so I thought maybe I can take a bit of advantage of that. I managed to hang it out around the outside in the S's, which becomes the inside for the next corner, and I get up into 2nd place. Now in these kind of situations, I'm sort of similar to round 3, and by the way, I had to put the replay in for this because it was a pretty nice move. I think it was one of the best moves that I've done so far this season, just spying that opportunity as he went for a move that was probably not going to work and just be able to hang it out around the outside around 2 corners and eventually get the move done. Yeah, I was really happy with that one, but similar to round 3 where I sort of got a decent start and then I knew that the leaders were a bit faster than me. My mindset in these kind of situations is to use the person in front or the people in front who are the leaders of the race to, you know, follow them for as long as I possibly can, because it gives me the best chance. I'm not necessarily thinking of going on and fighting for the win. It's more about following them for as long as possible to try and drag me away from people behind. And then later on in the race, if they do start to drive away in front because they're faster, at least I've got a buffer to people behind because I've been able to stick with the faster guys for a bit of time. And that's generally my thought process in the early stages of something like this. But in these first few laps, I very quickly realised that I had really, really good pace. Now, obviously, like I said, the previous race was in the wet, and I had done some dry practice in between the two races, just in case. And obviously this one turned out dry, and my performance in the practice and the lap times that I was getting was, as I mentioned during the video, better than what I managed to qualify with. And I had set lap times that would have been able to qualify on pole position. So I had some really good pace, and with the leader making that small mistake into the just out of the final corner, I thought I could get an opportunity up the inside here, but I wasn't quite far enough up the inside to make that work, and he was able to hang it out around the outside. But I was noticing that I had some good pace here. I don't know, maybe it was the leader's first race, like I sometimes just jump into a race, so it took him a bit of time to get into it and figure out what he was doing. But ultimately I was challenging for the victory here, or at least you could say I was challenging for the lead. And on this lap I was significantly closer to what I was on the previous lap, but this time he doesn't make a mistake coming out of the final corner, so I do get a little bit closer because of the slipstream, but I'm not anywhere near close enough like I was on the previous lap. And with this track, any overtakes were always going to come on this main straight, and because with the S's at Suzuka, there's no real place to make a move. The only reason I was able to get that done, to get up into second place in the first place on the first lap, is because the guy in front went for a move that wasn't going to work, put him out of position, and that allowed me to get some momentum around the outside. When all cars are just taking the lines that they should, you're not going to be able to get any kind of overspeed or move done in any of these corners really. So I knew in the back of my mind that everything was going to come on that main straight, and here around here I realized I was so much closer, and I thought, okay, let's focus on getting the best exit I can, because I've already been pretty close. Let's try and get into that slipstream and see what we can do by the time. And obviously this time I'm much closer than I was at any point so far. I'm right in that slipstream. The guy in front, he doesn't bother defending because maybe he thinks there's so much more of the race to go, and I managed to get up into the lead, and I was obviously very happy about that. Now at this point I wanted to try and go away, I tried to, because obviously I'd shown and proved to myself in those first few laps that I had a really good pace. And I'm going to put, as you can see in the top left, the perspective of the guy behind, just so you can see, you've got multiple places to look. You can look in the rear view mirror, you can look at his perspective from behind me, or you can look at my perspective, and you can see everything basically at this point. But yeah, I'd proven that I had some really good pace. I was feeling good in the car, feeling good in the race. I thought, okay, maybe I can try to get away. Maybe I can try to put down some quick laps, and hopefully maybe third and fourth places will start to battle with second place, and I can just run away. Unfortunately, that didn't really happen. I did manage to gain a little bit over the first couple of laps after getting into the lead, but not enough to pull out of the slipstream. And the slipstream is so powerful with these cars that you've got to be quite significantly far ahead to not be affected by it. So even if I was able to pull out a little bit in the corners in the first couple of laps, he was able to pull that back in with the slipstream. So ultimately I was going to be in a bit of an intense fight for the overall win. Now this is, like I've mentioned throughout the video, a top split race, and that there's sort of a little bit of extra niceness, I think you could say, to winning a top split race, because obviously, for those who don't know, you probably know if you're watching iRacing from me up to this point so far, everybody who wants to do the race at that point gets split up based on your iRating. So the drivers with the highest iRating will be in the top split, and then there might be a second split, a third split, a fourth split, because there's only a maximum of say 20 drivers per race. If 100 drivers want to do that race, then there's going to be 5 splits, and you'll be split up based on your relative skill, with the iRating being the measurement of that. So to keep in mind, there were 2 splits for this race. I think there was nearly 40 people registered for it. Sometimes there might be 100 people registered for the Toyotas, and the level of the top split race and the level of any split can be different. The bottom split here was the second split, but that might be equivalent to a 5th split when everybody else is doing the races, so when there's a lot more people. So you've got to take everything with a bit of a grain of salt, and ultimately you can only race the people who you put up against. But the guy who I was racing with had a much higher iRating than I did, maybe not into the sort of 3,000 or 4,000s that sometimes you see in these top splits, but it's still a top split race, and there's a little bit of extra niceness with that, because if you're able to do well in a top split race, then you can kind of see it as you're doing well across the race as a whole. It doesn't, so far I've been in second split for most of the races this season, and if I've won those races, that's great. I've had a lot of fun. I've done really well to win a race, but ultimately I've won sort of the second best split. There's still another split higher of faster drivers who, you could argue they're all doing better than me in that round. This wasn't the case with that. This was a top split race, and it doesn't happen very often that I'm fighting for victory in a top split race, but I really am right now. This is where it starts to get a little bit more tense. I didn't have the best lap in that previous lap, and the second place guy did manage to pull in a little bit more with the slipstream, and now he's right on my tail at this point. And in general, I wasn't too worried about him making an overtake in the S's, because like I said earlier, it's very difficult to get that done if everybody's just doing their normal lines. So my focus every single lap was all about this final corner, making sure I got a good exit onto the straight, so that he didn't have the chance and he wasn't close enough, and I had enough speed to be able to not be just breezed by like I breezed by him because of the slipstream. And even though it's close, I do manage to do that for a few laps. He is closing in, as you can see, but I am able to sort of keep him at arm's length just going into the first corner, and then at that point for the rest of the lap I'm not really too worried about him making an overtake. So I didn't really focus. I wasn't looking back at him in the rearview mirror at any point on the lap, apart from sort of halfway down the straight to see how close he was, to see whether I needed to defend my position. Now, even though I'm saying all that now, this was still very tense and a little bit nerve-wracking. We've got obviously 3rd and 4th place are just there as well. They've been a lot closer throughout the race, but we are starting to pull away from them now as we're battling at the front. I think I was still putting in some good pace, and second place was able to use the slipstream to sort of pressure me, and maybe he was coming into the race a little bit more, finding a bit more pace for himself. And this is the lap where he's sort of even closer, and again it's all about that decision of when do you defend, when do you go offline and sort of reduce your pace in order to stop the person behind getting past. I didn't do it this time, but it was getting really, really close, and I was keeping an eye on that as the race was going on. Like I said, I'm not looking back at him at any point apart from towards the end of the straight, but every time towards the end of the straight I am looking back at him to see where he is, because I need to know if he's close enough to me and he's got an overspeed, I need to be defending into that first corner. And I think this is the first time where I need to do that on this lap, because he's right there obviously in that last corner. And again with the slipstream, it just really helps to be able to get into a position to make an overtake. So coming down, he is getting closer and closer and closer. He's using that slipstream. He goes to the inside to try and make a move. Okay, so I don't defend this time. I was wrong, sorry. I don't defend this time. It looked like he was going to the inside, but again, I felt like he wasn't close enough at that point to make a move, so I could just go into the first corner as normal. But I think maybe it's probably this lap where I do defend for the first time. But yeah, we are starting to drop third and fourth place. You can sort of see in the top left the delta between my lap time from the previous lap and the people behind. Obviously you can only see second and third, but it's in the green, which means I was very slightly quicker than second place from, you know, the start finish line to the start finish line, but he's still there all the time, so it's barely anything. But I'm significantly quicker than third place at this point, so we are driving away from third and fourth. They're having their own little battle as well, but they are still there. You know, it's been a group of 4 at the front all the way through. Here he goes to the inside again. He's just, so I'm still not defending. Okay, I'm impressed with myself at this point. Still not defending after all of this. I felt like I would have easily have defended at this point, but yeah, I'm impressed with myself not defending like that. Having the confidence to be able to take that first corner as I feel like I should, and he's not close enough to make an overtake. But yeah, again, this all comes from the fact that I wasn't worried about him during the S's, and my main focus every single lap was on this final corner, making sure I got a good exit, making sure that I took as much speed as I possibly could out of this final corner to sort of not negate the slipstream effect, but minimize it as much as possible, because I'm already at a good speed. Am I going to defend this time? I must. He's a lot closer. Yeah, there we go. So this is the first lap where I choose to actively defend. I go to the inside of the track. He comes even further to the inside, but there's no way he's getting through in that gap. And that was where I chose to position my car every single time, because I felt like there's no point in defending too hard into the first corner, because it's such a wide open corner that someone will just come around the outside of you. You know, if you're all the way over to the right hand side going into that first corner, you can't carry anywhere near as much speed into it, and someone can just take the outside line and take a lot more speed around. So I thought, let's stick to the middle of the track. If he has enough overspeed to come past me on the inside, fair enough, he's going to have to make that work and, you know, actually go up the inside, but he's going to be a lot more compromised on that line. If he can do that, fair enough. If not, he's going to have to make a choice to go around the outside maybe, and I don't think that's going to work either. Again, he goes for the inside here, and this is what I'm talking about. Obviously that was very close to a crash there, as he goes over the curb, and I did leave a little bit of extra space on the inside with that in mind, that, you know, he is going to be there. But thankfully I left that space, because I think if I hadn't, that would have easily been a crash. But you can see how difficult it is, even though he had a bit of an overspeed from the slipstream, because I positioned my car in the middle of the track. He was on a compromised line, and that's not what he did when I came to overtake him. Again, he maybe just thought that, okay, there's plenty of the race to go, there's no point in defending right now. But I was able to still take good speed into the first corner, and I had a bit of a better overspeed from the slipstream as well, that I wasn't too compromised going into that, and the angle wasn't so bad. So we're coming on to the final lap here, and I've got basically I feel like I've got one more bit of defending to do, and as long as I survive this, I'll have won the race. And he tries it around the outside this time. Again, doesn't quite have that level of overspeed that he needs to go all the way around the outside. And at this point, I'm just focusing forward, because I feel good that he's not going to be able to make an overtake here. And again, it's all going to be on that last corner, not making a mistake, making sure to get as much pace out of it as I can, so that nothing goes wrong to the line, and I'll let you watch what happens. Come on! Yes!
This is what happens when you have the best crew chief.
Oh my god! Yes! What a race! What a top split race! Wow! Oh, that was so intense, the whole way through the race. That was incredible. Yes! Damn, look at those laps. 56s. Most of the laps were just 56s. After I was saying that I can do 56s, I just didn't manage to do it in qualifying. Almost every lap was. Because the last few laps before this, I was closing in with the slipstream, but I wasn't anywhere near close enough to make a move. But this lap, I knew I was close enough. So I kind of just thought I'd wait for the straight. This was the most important corner. Making sure you got a good exit out of this corner. And I was trying to make sure of that every single lap. And I think that's what stopped him from getting back past me, honestly. And he didn't really defend it. Maybe he just thought there's plenty more time. But it was all, that move came about from basically the entirety of the previous lap. So I was focusing on making sure I get the best exit I can out of here, which I think I managed to do pretty much every lap, and then defend if I needed to. I think that was the only difference. That I defended, and he didn't. Because when you're in the middle like that, it's difficult to come all the way up the inside. Oh, he bounced on there. Oh, wow. Oh, that was so close to... Oh, my God. I knew something happened there, but I didn't realize it was quite that bad. Holy moly. This was the last lap as well. I knew he was going to go for it, obviously. But I was pretty confident he wasn't close enough to get it done. Oh, I'm so glad I left that extra space. If I hadn't have left that extra space on the inside, that would have been it. But that's why, that's exactly the reason I placed my car where I did on those last few laps. Right in the middle. Because if you're going to go up the inside, it's really difficult to get it on this angle. I didn't need to sort of like go on that angle myself to defend it. Just stick it in the middle. And if he has enough overspeed, then fair enough. Well, there it is. Top split. My first two races in top split, although I would say weaker top splits than what I will be expecting for the rest of the season, but it's a win. A win in top split. 101 points. I'll absolutely take that. 56.5 best lap. The best lap was a 56.4. So I was right up there. I was right on the pace. We were 10 seconds ahead of everybody else. Only 2/10 at the line. And I'm almost back to my highest iRating ever. 19 something or other was my highest. I was close to 2,000. Oh, man. What a win. I'm so happy with that. Come on. Yeah, I won in a top split, but come on, guys. They were worse than usual. I'm not that good. Shush, you did it and end it. Okay, fine. Fine. That's got to be my best win of the season, and it will probably remain my highest championship points for the rest of the season. Like, I don't think it's going to be better than this. So, championship position-wise, it's all about just getting as many points as possible on the board now, in whatever situations I find myself in. A win is a win, so respectfully shut up. Okay, fine. Top split win. Those don't come around very often at all. So I've definitely got to take it. And it was hard fought as well. 0 incident points, that's true. It was like the perfect race. Amazing.